Welcome to the 46 Zone podcast. Week 2 is over for the Bears, and it's a loss at Houston, 19-13. The offensive linemen Jones, Jenkins, Shelton, Davis, and Wright are on the hot seat this week after the play last week. I am Scott with the Basement Benchwarmers, from the Basement Benchwarmers, along with Jace tonight, helping me out. And we're going to, like we do every week, we'll talk about the Bears and their past week's performance against the Texans. We'll talk about the matchup coming up this weekend in Indy. And then also we'll go around the NFC North with happenings and predictions and what's going on there with each team real quick. But let's start off with the Packers. The Bears. The Bears, they lose in Houston. And last week I did say they were going to have trouble there. But I will say one thing, and for 2 weeks in a row, we're giving grades out here. The defense gets an A once again. They played really well. They're continuing with ending last year in Green Bay with only allowing the Packers to, I think, 17 points. They haven't allowed more than 19 points now in the last 3 games, counting that game. They this year they're allowing 18 points a game in 2, and the schedule is pretty favorable coming up the next few weeks. They should keep it under 20 with the Colts, the Rams, the Patriots, Panthers all on tap in the next few weeks.
A big one for next week's game is DeForest Bucker, most likely out. And that's...
He actually was put in IR today.
Okay, so that'll help a lot for the Bears.
Hopefully. Yeah. If we break it down on the offense, nobody gets anything higher than a D again to me. The whole offense is a D. I didn't like the body language a lot coming from DJ Moore this week. Caleb Williams also. I think Caleb Williams, I don't mind the frustration because he should show it. A lot of quarterbacks don't do that. He needs to show it. The offensive line, just turnstiles all day. The running backs not running too much east-west. Instead of north-south, DJ Swift has to just break. If he gets outside his nowhere, just cut it upfield and take your no gain instead of a 2-yard loss. This offense right now cannot be in 3rd and 9 plus. Not many offenses can, and they were in 3rd and 9 plus a ton that night. DeMarco Ryan did not at all respect the offensive line. He just sent 6 people almost the whole second half. And
that was the most he has ever sent the blitz in his coaching career so far, because they knew right away that if you want the bull, you hit the horns, and they gave it to him.
The Texans' horns. Get it?
Yeah.
But the offensive line, I heard today that they have lost, their tackles have lost 25% of their position, their battles at the ends. 25% this year they've lost to the opposing defensive player. The tackles alone. We're not talking the interior line, where Shelton once again was being thrown to the backfield numerous occasions, just like the week before in Tennessee. Nate Davis, it just seems like he doesn't want to be there sometimes. And Tevin Jenkins, the problem with the Bears coaching staff right now is Tevin Jenkins was better at right guard next to right, and they were road graders. They would run that ball every time last year. They've split them up now and put Tevin Jenkins on the left to make Nate Davis happy. Nate Davis needs to be pushed out of lineup, and they need to put Tevin Jenkins back on the right side and see how that goes, because it's not working right now at all. And the ball has to be on time better. I mean, there was a couple throws. Caleb Williams, I think, is still going to the right spots. He's still seeing the guys. He's just not getting the throws correct. Yep. Little overthrows, underthrows. I think those late game, the DJ Moore play where he looked frustrated, he didn't get the comeback throw. And, of course, the NBC crew points out that, he's probably frustrated because he made a right play and all that. Well, first and foremost, the comeback route, he's probably expecting a comeback, and it wasn't close to a comeback. And that's just not being on the same page. This guy has played 2 NFL games. Jordan Love has sat on a bench for 3 years. And last year, he didn't pick it up until the last 7 or 8 weeks. Started going when the offensive line and Aaron Jones were running like mad. In the playoff game against the 49ers, when they needed him most, and the pressure got to him, he failed. So this is going to happen to young quarterbacks. Jared Goff looked not very good on Sunday against Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay is 2-0 now. And the Vikings, Sam Darnold actually has played the best quarterback overall in this. Jordan Love had a good first game, but overall, Sam Darnold's playing pretty well in Minnesota, a team we thought was going to be 0-2 right now and be fighting for their lives. They're 2-0. I mean, so quarterback play has been down. Caleb Williams has played 8 quarters in his career. So I think it's time to step off the ledge, step back, take a look at it. Hey, I'm done giving the quarterbacks passes because he did make mistakes in that game, but there's a lot more going on than Caleb Williams. and I just think blaming Caleb Williams is crazy. And for the second week in a row, also special teams did their job and did well. Cairo Santos had another clean game, hasn't missed a field goal yet. And knock on wood. And Torrey Taylor is putting the ball where he's supposed to inside 20. And a couple not great punts that night for him.
I will say he did have that punt out of the end zone where he's pinned back and he got it over the 50. That was pretty nice to see.
Yeah. So that's a big one too. He got it. So the only thing is, I think he has to work on the keep the height on the punts. He's getting a little too far out now, and sometimes you're almost out kicking your coverage. So got to be careful there. But if you got to get grades, Jace, to each part of the team, defense, offense, and special teams, like I said, I'm going A, D, and I'm going to give the special teams. I'll give them a B+ this week because I thought the punting was okay. At times overall, though, I mean, it was. I would take a B everywhere every week, and you probably win most of your games. So a B there, but obviously the offense gets a D again. And the reason I'm not giving an F is because they did have a couple decent drives in the game, and at the end when they got past the 50, got excited, thought they were going to actually maybe move the ball, and they just had a couple bad plays, a sack, and a penalty. And that's another thing too. You can't be undisciplined and bad also. At least be disciplined. Don't take 5-yard penalties and put yourself in holes when their team knows you're going to pass, and now they're going to come with 6 or 7. So what do you think? Offense, defense, special teams.
I mean, you got to give the defense an A+. I mean, their run defense looking better than it was last year. They held Texans, who honestly have a really good run game with a really good O-line, 75 yards, sacked C.J. Stroud 3 times. And, I mean, overall, they held the receivers pretty good. Stroud's just a quarterback, and he tore them apart when he should have, but their defense still unstoppable. I mean, if I'm being honest, the offense probably would look really good if you had an O-line. But you got to when one part doesn't work, the whole thing doesn't work, especially the O-line. And, I mean, when you have a center who there are videos I seen the center, guys going right by him. Just like nothing. And there was one play, was it Braxton Jones on the outside? So it was a drop back, Caleb Williams. Guy goes right past him.
Or Darnell Wright had one of those too.
Yeah, Darnell Wright.
For sure.
Yep. So it's got to give them a D, and special teams A+.
Yeah, bringing up the offense. Nico Collins had a great first half, but the Bears seemed to figure out how to stop him in the second half. So they did it, and that's the thing. We got to remember, Eberflus is getting a little flack about this, but Eberflus is a defensive coach, and ever since Week 8 last year, Week 9, this defense has been arguably one of the best in the NFL. And they're not like a dominant like Ravens or Ravens defense from the 2000s or the 85 Bears or anybody in between. This defense is a good enough defense it's a playoff defense right now. And that's the thing. That's the thing that's going to be a problem the whole year. If the offense don't pick it up, you're going to waste a playoff defense at this time. It's a long season, and they've been luckily, knock on wood, the injury bug is killing teams right now. And right now, they're pretty healthy. Besides Keenan Allen not playing, the team's been healthy, and they're still intact, and nothing's come out. Seemed like it came out of the game clean, surprisingly, last game. So they're healthy, and that's the key. Staying healthy will make this team better, too, because you get more snaps together. And it's just been... I think the excitement of the season, overtook people. And this season, walking into it, felt like 2017 after the 16 double doink. Everybody came in thinking, "Oh, we're going to have this is the year." We were a field goal away from getting the next round, and probably could have beat the Rams, and who knows what would happen. Blah blah blah. And they didn't do it, and they came in next year and they lost 10-7 on the Thursday night opener to the Packers, who weren't favored to do nothing that year, and the Packers really I don't think did anything either. And 10-7, they lose, and it felt like that way coming this season. The only thing with this year is that you have a quarterback who's in his first year. And today I was talking to somebody, and it was a great point. Not many guys come in the league and do. Even C.J. Stroud was kind of okay to start. And he had some nice number games, but it was okay. But nobody comes in the league like Andrew Luck or guys like that and just overtakes things. Lamar Jackson didn't play to start his first season. He came in late in the year. Peyton Manning threw 26 interceptions his first year. I mean,
he's a Hall of Famer.
all time. I mean, not saying Caleb Williams is going to be a Hall of Famer because that's I'm not setting the bar anywhere like that because we may not even have a Hall of Fame quarterback playing right now besides Patrick Mahomes. You never know how it works out. But everything else, you just have some good years. And I don't care if you're a decent quarterback. I mean, just be good. And that's the problem right now is that the offense has got work to do. And now it's live action. The game moves really fast. This isn't preseason. And he's got to get it right. But the offensive line has to give him more time. And as he's getting the ball out of his hand, usually when he has time, he gets the ball out under 2.75 seconds, which is a very good time. So he's under 3 seconds when he has the time to set his feet. And And he scramble moves are fine there. He had 2 scrambles. He threw a pick, got called back. The other one was Komet was open. He just kind of got baited in that one. I think he threw it too late. And with that many guys around Komet, I'm gonna bet if they scanned the field, I bet someone else was wide open somewhere else. So there was 3 guys around Komet, 6 guys rushing. So there's got to be 2 other receivers. Only 2. Someone had to be open, and that's the film is what's going to tell him and show him. And he seems like a guy that really looked upset the whole night, and not upset about. I don't think about like almost like, oh God, this sucks. He was upset with himself, not making plays, even knowing he probably couldn't make plays. And that's got to happen. He's got to take some of this ownership himself, and I believe he will. And this is a process. I think the Bears, what they did wrong this year was maybe after seeing all this now, they instead of Keenan Allen, maybe invest in a high-priced offensive lineman. They didn't do it or draft. I like Torrey Taylor a lot. I still like the draft pick, but maybe investing in a center in that spot. I mean, there are spots they knew they needed, and I think they thought they were going to get away with it. And now you have Rome there for a few years. You have DJ Swift. You have these guys there, so you can make this line better. And Swift's the guy too. You saw when you don't have him when Cable Williams went under center and handed the ball and he got a head of steam. He moved good between tackles, but they keep deciding to run outside and do these like zone reads, and zone reads don't work when your offensive line is getting beat to the point of attack every single time. So I don't know. It's becoming a problem, and it's early. Like I said, it's really not a problem. It's 2 games in. They're 1-1. They're not a 1-1 from last year, 2 years ago, whatever they were. They're not the same team. They're different. And I just think there's room for improvement everywhere. The defense too. Nico Collins doesn't get they make that adjustment early and he doesn't score maybe, and then this game's different. But they did good. I mean, they had a good game, defensively good game. They had a chance. Hey, they had the ball with a chance to win with 2 minutes left. That's all you can ask for in an NFL game nowadays. You ask the Chiefs, they did it. Yes, every team in the NFL, they'll take that chance every time. The ball in their hand. Ask Kirk Cousins last night.
Oh yeah,
Kirk Cousins had the ball, went down, scored. The most terrible guy NFL quarterback gets so much flack. He went on the road to Philly and beat a good
in a primetime game.
In a primetime game that he never wins supposedly, but he's been winning them lately. So, what else do you think with the Bears? I mean, the offensive line. I think Shane Waldron. It's weird. He's been a coordinator somewhere, but it's almost like he's trying to get his feel for this too.
New team, a lot of new pieces. I feel like you have to kind of. It's new for everybody. I mean, there's a lot of new things you want to try out, especially when you have a quarterback like Caleb Williams, who is very talented for how young he is and being a rookie. That you can do a lot with him. He is very you can incorporate a lot of run stuff with him, and he's very good at doing. You've seen in preseason a lot of the jet sweeps that they tried to incorporate in the game, and I just think it's about. You got to get all these pieces involved and see what works. And that's really what I think they're trying to do here is you got to figure out what fits. And I mean, it comes back to the O-line. That's a big thing too. What works with the O-line, what you have right now too. So
what was the biggest stat of the game was when we talked about with the offensive line. And, I'm sorry, Caleb Williams, the rate of, I think,
I haven't.
Yeah, go ahead. The pressures. And this is a crazy stat because this isn't a stat that builds in to him holding on the ball too long. Remember this. This is not and Justin Fields. We'll talk about Justin Fields in a minute because I'm putting that to bed in a minute. But let's go to this. This is not a drop my eyes trying to run around, whatever. This is an actual stat of this is just him grabbing the ball, getting in his hands. What's the stat?
Rookie quarterback Caleb Williams was pressured on 36 of his 44 dropbacks, which is a historically high rate of 81.8% of his dropbacks. He was sacked 7 times during the game. And a dropback is him taking the ball, under 2 seconds he's pressured.
And the thing is, 81% is good on your driver's ed exam, not for an NFL rush rate. It's terrible. And the offensive line should be ashamed of themselves. They really should. The offensive line coach, they all need to regroup this week and figure things out. And the play calls and the line calls, and maybe the line calls, maybe that's the thing too. Maybe they're not on the same page with line calls. I don't know, but they look the same 2 weeks in a row. They got worse, and they did face a better front this week. I mean, Hunter had a great game. You don't remember these additions. You see them play. Hunter was a great addition to that defense. That's going to make them. If they stay healthy and mixing the ankle, unfortunately, that should have been called being a Bear guy. But that was a drop tackle, whatever they call it. What's
a hip drop?
That was a hip drop tackle. Should have been called, but the punch should have been called too. So I guess we're even.
Well, and here's the thing about that is, I know they kind of talked about on Pat McAfee is it's sort of one of those things. Do you want to be that first ref to call it? And then, which here's a nice thing though, just throw the flag because now they have the instant replay where they just go right to the ref's ear. No, pick it up. Just throw the flag. I mean, if you think it is, he's going to be fine. They're still reviewing it.
Oh, it's going to be fine.
He'll be fine.
He'll be fine. The guy that punched the guy will be fined and headbutted. You know, to be honest, the punch and the headbutt by that guy I think it should warrant a suspension for one game. I really do.
That was Lancaster too.
He did two things. He did two things in one play, and they didn't see either of them. And win or lose, it didn't matter. Win on one of them or lost the game. I'm not saying that because it is what it is. That's part of the game. Missed calls will happen all the time, but. For future, he got away with a punch, and then he decides to headbutt a guy in the face that's just trying to break people up. So it's
did you see who the guy was too? That was Stevenson. He's a defender on the bench.
No,
he wasn't even an offensive player.
It was Roshan Johnson that got punched.
Oh, it was Roshan Johnson.
And Darnell Wright got headbutted. So Darnell Wright was just kind of like, hey, relax. And I give credit to the Bears bench because after the headbutt, I think I would have just
been on top of that guy. That's all about culture right there with E for Blues. You remember watching Hard Knocks?
Yeah. You can't. And the
you got to be smart.
Yeah,
and that's
it saved them because they can't be dumb because if they lose 15 yards and they can't do that offense.
The thing that happens right there is it's just like in the game last night. C.J. Gardner-Johnson pulls a mouth guard out of mouth, then he hits him in the face. It's always the second guy. It's never the first guy.
Yep.
So
yeah, I agree that I think this is a lot of feeling out. Shane Waldron has got some work to do.
The defense is there. Now it's just the second part.
The defense, and the thing is, the defense is going to get better.
Exactly.
They're going to get better. There's no way they can't. I just think right now the Bears need to do this. They need to shop around. Need to call Carolina. Need to call, I don't know what other teams they have the Giants maybe. Teams are going to be looking for a quarterback next year that don't want to win this year anyway, and scan them and their best offensive lineman. If they fit your scheme, you offer a 3rd or 4th round pick today for that offensive lineman because you need to make your offensive line better. And one guy can do that because Tevin Jenkins and Wright have proved they can play. It's just they're out of sync right now. And one or two guys, they have 2 guys right now that might be a liability, Shelton and Nate Davis. Those 2 guys. Jones I'm fine riding with, and I'm fine with Jenkins, and I'm fine with Right, but the other, I think Davis and Shelton are be good depth guys, but we need to step it up.
Andrew Thomas would be a good one from the Giants. They signed him a few years ago, and
if he's close to his contract,
I think he's got 2 years left. So
and these are guys you got to pinpoint. You have to pinpoint teams that aren't going nowhere and may want to, just fold it up and just be like, okay, the Giants gonna want a quarterback, and maybe it won't be next year because Archie Manning comes out in 2 years. But this year, who knows? You don't know. Maybe it's 2-year tank by the Giants. Maybe they do the Bears thing and try to trade that pick and later get a bigger. Who knows? I don't know. But there's a lot of things out there, and the Bears are kind of forced. They forced their hand here by not going and just signing 2 or 3 offensive linemen in the offseason. They didn't do that. They signed a few other lower guys. What's the guy from the Bills they signed? I can't remember his name. Was it Shelton? The guy Bates.
Bates, yeah.
So Bates lost out in the position battle. He's not hurt. So I don't know why he lost out, but they tried trading for this guy. Then they actually signed him then they traded for him. They tried signing him a year ago. Then they actually traded for him. So what happened is he injured? Am I missing something here with Ryan Bates? Because Ryan Bates was a starter in Buffalo. It's not like they got,
It says he's on injured reserve.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Shoulder and elbow injuries.
So how long is he on the reserve? Is it only an 8-week thing or a 4-week? Because that might be the cure. It might help that line out. Like I said, a little depth, and you never know. But when was that date of the injured reserve placing? Was it
Sunday?
This past Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay, so
he'll be eligible to return when they go to London against Jacksonville the week 6.
So maybe it's something they were hoping to come back and he couldn't. Because I don't think he played in week 1. I don't think he did, and he didn't play this weekend. I don't think. So
he might have because they said that Nate Davis will be at right guard moving forward, so he might have played week 1.
Yeah, I thought Nate Davis started. Oh, Nate Davis didn't play week 1, but maybe week 2 he did. Maybe I don't.
Do you remember them announcing him by chance?
I don't remember.
No. Yeah.
So whatever. I think Ryan Bates is a good offensive lineman, but him being injured doesn't help them. Like we said, the defense I think is good, and they can hopefully get better. Special teams has played. This special teams, people don't realize if you're a Bears fan, the last few years the special teams have been pretty bad. So that's a huge key in the game, at least helping, and that helps the defense. Field position helps the defense, and hopefully this offense can get going, and then they start taking advantage of the field position they're getting when the defense makes stops.
Yeah, did you know when Chuck Pagano was a DC and it was actually 2018, the year of the double dink, they were trying to have Pat McAfee come kick for them? They were trying to pull him out of retirement. He talked about that on the show today, that there were a lot of staffers from the Colts that were there, and Chuck Pagano called him, said he tried out and everything. Came, they liked him, but his knee got all messed up because he was obviously out of shape and stuff, so he couldn't kick. But they said that he said that he would have probably been the Bears kicker that year. So imagine that. He would have been the kicker, not the punter. He was going to switch positions and be a place kicker for the Bears, so that would have been interesting.
So the Bears lose the game, but win in Vegas. They're 6.5 point underdogs, and I took them. I took Texans last week on the show. I said I would take Texans, and I said they win by 10. And it wasn't probably for a fumble at the 4-yard line. They might have won by that number, but I didn't bet it, so it doesn't matter because I don't bet for or against the Bears. I just don't do it. It's hard to do. It's all for entertainment purposes only. We're real quick through the division. The Lions lose to the Buccaneers, the 2-0 Buccaneers, and the hot Baker Mayfield, 20-16. And next week they got the Cards at -3. And the Packers pull out the victory with a very good running game with Josh Jacobs, 16-10 over Indy. Next week they're at Tennessee down -3. The Packers run for over 150 yards and use the running game really well, which shows you Malik Willis is not a good quarterback. I don't care what anybody says. You can say what you want about him. He did what he had to do. Threw 15 passes and won an NFL football game. If you can do that every week, 16-10, I'd take it. Not beating up, not making fun of the Packers, just saying they have a tougher test in Tennessee this week. So Tennessee's defense a little better. But once again, you're facing 2 weeks in a row. The Bears took advantage of it. And now, hopefully this week, the Bears take advantage with Tennessee or Indy. But now the Packers have to face another turnover-prone quarterback in Will Levis. This last week, I think he threw 3 interceptions.
Did you see the one that he just threw to the guy?
Oh, he did.
He had Brian Callahan. What the F are you doing? And I think he's on the hot seat. If he has another turnover game, I think he's getting the chain and he'll be on the bench.
And the Bears have to take advantage of that. We'll get to that in a minute though. And the Vikings.
Yeah.
2-0 also after a huge win at home against 49ers. Like I said earlier, this team, the bench warmers on the bench warmers podcast, we were talking, we had this team not even getting close to the top 3 in the division. Now they're in first. I know it's only 2 weeks, but hey, they're just guys like Matt LaFleur is a good coach, and we give Dan Campbell credit, and Eberflus is still, I give him a little credit on his defense, but he's still kind of 3rd or 4th. And I think in that division, he may be the 4th best coach because Kevin O'Connell is quietly becoming the Kyle Shanahan of this division because LaFleur's had talent, and he's got talent. This Minnesota team is and Brian Flores, a great compliment to that too in his defensive schemes. Defense had a few injuries to start the year. Sam Darnold, oh my God, McCarthy's out. What are we going to do? Well, if they can win games and be productive this year, now McCarthy can't play anyway. Let him learn and watch the game from the side. And this may be the biggest. This is huge for them. And Darnold's going to probably have a couple stinkers. They all do. But at this point, Darnold hasn't had any kind of games you're going to put him in the Hall of Fame for. But they're winning football games. And
he's already in the talking for comeback player of the year. Yeah, if he plays like this for 16 more games, it's his for sure.
It's the right situation, and this is what's happening. And I'm going to tell you right now, if the Bears' offense does not get better, Ryan Poles will fire Eberflus in the offseason, and he will get an offensive head coach. They'll find one. They'll go get the guy from Houston, someone like that, Slowick or something like that will be here next year. So I love Eberflus coaching a defense, but I didn't understand why they keep Eberflus when they were planning on drafting a quarterback, because you need to have that head coach quarterback. I think is a big deal because let's put it this way. If Shane Waldron this year, let's just say the Bears go out and win 11 games. Caleb Williams comes out and has a great rest of the year. He just turns it around, looks great. Waldron's going to be gone. He's taking a job somewhere else. Now Caleb Williams has a second job. You need to get a coach that is your head coach and ain't leaving because he's your head coach. You can't do that when your prized possession is Caleb Williams at this point. Your defense just needs a guy that knows how to run defense. He ain't going to come in and not, hey, you're going to change anything? Nope, we're run the same scheme, stay here. Everything else, it's crazy. And I said this last year. I said I like Eberflus, but he's good as a defense coordinator. I think for this team though, you can't. Caleb Williams' success will lead to the offense coordinator leaving. That's basically what's going to happen. Nobody's going to stick around. I mean, they're going to take their head coaching jobs to get a chance. So, I mean, I think that that's the key to this whole thing. But you may lose Waldron if they end up being good. But Kevin O'Connell is the example I was trying to get to. He's in tune with Darnold right now. Darnold's in tune with him. He was in tune with Kirk Cousins. He was in tune. J.J. McCarthy's probably going to be a good quarterback because he has this. Hopefully, has a connection with O'Connell. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at Dan Campbell's a head coach. I mean, you have coordinators, and their coordinator might be moving on too eventually.
Ben Johnson.
Yeah, he's a good he stuck around. He wanted to stay.
Yep. He could have went and got a nice job somewhere, but And
then you look at Green Bay. Matt LaFleur is the coach. He's the play caller. So it's we'll see how the year goes. But the Vikings, I mean, they're as good as anybody right now. In this league, there's nobody in the league stands out to me right now. Nobody's going, I mean, yes, the Saints putting points up, incredible. Tampa Bay's 2-0, but the Saints are probably the most impressive team to this point because they went on the road and won at Dallas. But Dallas didn't do anything in the offseason. They stood pat. They added Elliott and things like that. But they didn't do anything crazy besides give Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb a bunch of money. That's what they did. Yeah. So one game doesn't make a season. We're hoping as Bear fans it doesn't. But that's a scary thing to see at home when your defense, and Micah Parsons called the defense out after the game. And that's not good. When your best player, because your best player, guess what? If your best player is something like that, that means he wants to win. That means he's leaving because he has no contract right now, no tie, and I could see him being gone next year, no problem, because he might just say, I'm done with this. But I still think that Mike Zimmer there.
Is Mike McCarthy on the hot seat?
He's on the hot seat every year, and I think the problem with him is that
this is the last year, too, remember? Everybody else got paid. Yeah, now it's on him.
Yeah, this is it for him. So, but yeah, back to NFC North. You got the Lions going to see the Cards this weekend, and the Cards, a huge game last week. The Rams, though, very beat up, missing 2 linemen, missing both their receivers now. Just not looking good. Matt Stafford looks like he's hobbled from an early. I think he got hurt in week 1, an ankle thing, so he's hobbling around too now. I don't think Stafford will play the whole year. He'll be done before the end of the year because of injury, because that offensive line might be. And I give him a little respect against the Bears. The Bears are playing their starters. These guys are playing backups now at the Rams, so you expect them to get beat up at times. But what do you think about the Lions getting 3 at Arizona, which is, I mean, it's a hard game to pick because what team you're going to see? I mean, you got a Lions team that is expected to be in the playoffs and make a run, and you got a team like the Cardinals who we don't know who they are. The first week, they lost week 1, I believe.
Buffalo? Yep.
To Buffalo, but they played well in Buffalo.
Buffalo came back on the last drive and won.
So this team, I don't understand 3 points. I think this should be a push. But who do you like in this game, Lions-Cardinals, if you're getting 3 points at home, if you're the Cardinals?
Well, I will say, if I can find it to be correct, but I do believe the NFL tweeted a stat. The first Marvin Harrison Jr., first receiver since, guess who? His dad, to have, it was 4 receptions, 130 yards, and 2 touchdowns in the first quarter.
Actually, I think that stat was his dad only did it once in his career.
Yes.
So Marvin Harrison has done it already his first time.
It's his second game and his first time actually playing, as the Cardinals realize they have Marvin Harrison Jr. on their team today, or on Sunday. But I honestly think it'd be a really good game. I mean, it just
at this point,
the Lions should have won on Sunday. Did you see how they ended the first half?
Yeah, it was. And Dan Campbell, took it all on himself. He messed up.
So I mean, you got that. Which, I mean, if you get a field goal before the half, and they came out and had the ball in the second half too. So,
but not to change. We'll go back to back to Dan Campbell. I love Dan Campbell. I think he's a great coach. I think the way he motivates. If you watch Hard Knocks a few years ago, incredible stuff. But at this point, he might have lost him an NFC Championship game the way he coached, and now he's maybe lost him a game in the regular season now in his last 3 games. So this become a problem at some point, and you have to look as the owner, go, we love this guy, but we can't be losing games because we're not allowing the players to lose the game. We're losing the game by making bad decisions.
Well, here, let me give you some stats from this game. So I will say this: Detroit, fake punt, successful
at their own 20 or 25.
At their own 20.
Yeah.
The problem is, though, then they go down the field and they turn it over on downs, on 4th down in the red zone. So you're not getting points in the red zone.
Take the field goal. What was it? Do you know what the 4th down distance was? Do you remember?
They were in the red zone.
What was 4th and what, though?
I think I was like 4th and 4, 4th and 5, they said it was.
Yeah, if they're in field goal range, you kick the field goal there.
That they threw for Jared Goff was 35 for 56, 324, 2 interceptions, turnovers. That kills you.
Jared Goff, no quarterback in the NFL could throw 56 times. He shouldn't be throwing that many times, ever. Ever.
They had 27 carries as a team and 139 yards and a touchdown, and they lost on all. So altogether, they had almost 500 yards of offense, and they converted a fake punt.
16 points,
and they scored 16 points and lost. How many times do you hear that happen?
And the Bears scored 13. They had half those numbers. They're lucky.
Exactly. That's
NFL's weird, man.
That's probably has to be the first time in NFL history where you have 500 yards of offense almost and you lose the game. So I give the Buccaneers a lot of credit. Todd Bowles doing a great job, but moving on to the game this week, it could be a really good game. I mean, in Arizona, you got to take the Cardinals. I think. I mean, they're coming. I'm leaning toward the
Cardinals. Giving.
I mean, Kyler Murray's looked much better this year
because they're getting 3 at home. I'm sorry, they're wrong. They're getting 3. So yeah, I'm gonna take the Cardinals. I just think the difference in this game could be Aiden Hutchinson, 4.5 sacks last week. A great game.
He had 3 in the first quarter.
Yeah, their defense is good, very good. They've upgraded, added. I cannot remember the guy's name. We were trying to talk about it on the podcast last week. Lions added a defensive lineman too that was in the backfield all day in week 1 against the Rams. So they did the same thing as Houston. They added a guy to complement Aiden Hutchinson, and it's working out real well. But I'm going to lean the Cardinals just because I think. I'm changing. I'm going to take the Lions. And I'm going to take the Lions. Here's the reason I'm taking the Lions. The Lions aren't the Rams. And the Rams can't stop. Their defense is not very good. And their offense is not very good. Offense because of injury, defense because they're young and they've lost Aaron Donald. So I'm going to go with Lions. I think the Lions, this is kind of never a must-win in week 3, but this is a must-win feel to it because going 1-2 and almost could be 2 games down to somebody in your division this early possibly, and maybe a game behind everybody and being last possibly after this weekend. You never know. I'm going to take the Lions. This is a big game for them, and I think Dan Campbell learns from his mistakes hopefully and does the right thing when he's supposed to. How about the Vikings? They are going to Houston this week. Or Houston's coming to Minnesota. Yep. And Houston is giving 2.5 at Minnesota. What do you think about that? 2.5 points Vikings are getting at home.
I honestly have no clue because you expect 49ers to go in there and just beat up on them with that defense and that offense and Kyle Shanahan play calling. I mean, are the 49ers injured on the offense side? Yes. Is their defense injured? No. So I think this could probably be, what time is this, a noon game?
I'm guessing it is.
I mean that could probably be one of the best games of the noon slate on Sunday. That could be a real back and forth game, but I mean with how Houston's defense has come out, I think you got to take Houston. Their offense and defense have just been flying.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Houston. Here's why. Houston left points in the field against the Bears. The Bears defense made some plays. I don't think the Vikings defense makes those plays. But offensively, I think they can. I don't think you're going to see Houston blitz that much. They're going to play coverage. They're going to make sure they take out Justin Jefferson. And I think the Vikings lose this game, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a close one, like maybe a field goal at the end. So, but 2.5 is a good number because if they kick the field goal, they win by 3. So I'm going to take Houston minus the 2.5. It's crazy. It's hard to take a home dog, but I'll take the home dog here. 2.5 is almost a pick 'em at times. So.
Can you see the hole in their offense with Joe Mixon being out, or do you think that it won't be noticeable?
We'll see. I mean, they have, who's their back?
Akers.
Akers. Akers gets a week in practice. Akers is a solid running back, so we will see. Packers beat Indy last week, and this week they go to Tennessee, and they are getting 3 at Tennessee. What do you think about the Packers getting 3 in Nashville?
I'm gonna say Packers. You got Malik Willis going back to the place that gave up on him, essentially, if you want to say that. I just don't really have any belief in Tennessee, honestly. They look pretty rough. I mean, their defense is solid, but you got a quarterback who, quite frankly, loses his mind back there once in a while when he sees pressure. So I think you got to take the Packers here.
I think Tennessee flips the script on the Packers, and I think Tony Pollard has a huge game in this game. I don't think the Packers stopped the run real well. They had a hard time against the Eagles the first game. Not a lot of running from the Colts. Taylor had a solid game, though, against them. He ran, I think he had
12 for 103.
Yeah, so he had 100 yards against them. Just it was the mistakes. I think that if Tennessee plays a clean game,
3 interceptions from the quarterback.
If they play a clean game and Will Levis doesn't make stupid mistakes, this team is a better team overall. They got better receivers.
Yep.
They have a better offensive line. I think this team. I think Indy flips the script and I think they win. I think the Packers. This could be a tough game for the Packers. And if Jordan Love doesn't play, he could still play. They're saying I don't think. I think at this point, winning the last game, I think. Gamesmanship.
Yeah,
you're right. Gamesmanship is right. They are kind of doing that a little bit. I don't think he plays. Why rush him back? And Matt LaFleur's even said it out loud. We're not going to rush him back for their sake. And now winning this week is a huge way because if in 6 weeks if the Packers are 4-3 or if you 4-4, that's fine. This defense, nobody's going to run in. The only team might run away, but you can still get your wild card out of it. It doesn't matter. You're going to have a chance for a wild card until week 16 probably in this division or this conference. So. I just like Tennessee in this game. They're 0-2, so their backs are against the wall here a little bit too. So that they need to win this game, and I think they've shown they have a good enough team. Who they lose to this week? Tennessee.
Aaron Rodgers Jets.
Yeah, and they were in that game too. They play good defense against it. And everyone here wants to make fun of Aaron Rodgers because for some reason he's the worst quarterback ever now. I don't get it, but They play good against them. They play good both sides, and they actually did. Will Levis didn't look terrible against Chase. He made a couple bad throws again though but the Jets defense is a real good defense. Will Levis on the flip side has had to face two really good defenses in his first 2 games, the Bears and then the Jets. Let's see what happens if they get the run going and the Packers get off balance a little bit. But this is another one of those games. It's hard to tell because when Malik Willis, he's the X factor, and if he has to make the plays, I don't think they win. If Josh Jacobs has another great game, they probably can win this close late game. But I think Tennessee wins. I think they flip the script, and I think they have a big game on the ground, and they have no answer for Tony Pollard and the Titans. So I'm going to take the Titans and give the 3 to the Packers. Mm-hmm. So Indy was at the Packers this week. Well, this week the Bears go to Indy, and if there's ever time for a what do they call it, a remedy for what's aching you right now, the Colts come at no better time for the Bears because the Bears offense needs something to happen, and if they can establish a run, I'm gonna say Caleb Williams is better than Malik Willis. So I think that if they can get the run going and get play action going, I think the Bears have a good day in Indy. It's the first team this team gets to play in a controlled turf environment. I think this team is defensively as faster than people are going to know the Bears. They're going to feel faster in this game because I don't think it's turf in Houston. No,
yep, that was turf.
Oh, it was turf in Houston.
Yep. I mean, besides them having the roof open, but the roof will probably be open in Indy
too.
Well,
you saw the defense in Houston. They were looked faster than in Chicago.
Yep.
So I think this defense is better this game. Don't get me wrong. The Colts have some good offensive linemen. Quentin Nelson is the guy you don't want to mess with. I think he's one of the best linemen in football. He is. But I think they're going to be able to take advantage of this, and I think they win this game. They are actually 1.5 points they're getting in Indy. And last week I didn't take the Bears, so this ain't a homer pick, but I'm going to take the Bears, the plus 1.5, and I think they get a victory here. And I think that if the line can do different things and they almost can if they can run the ball and mask their deficiencies or improve on their deficiencies, I think they win this game. I don't think it's close. I think it's a game that they can run the clock out in the last 5 minutes and get a fourth quarter offense going, and they can win this game and not worry about it. And I think they're going to force Richardson in some mistakes that they're not going to be able to come back from. So I like the Bears. What do you think this weekend? Bears at Indy plus 2.5 or 1.5.
Well, I will say they play every 4 years, and whoever wins determines the president-elect of the United States. Can't forget that. Did you know that stat? They play every 4 years. It's always election year. I'm pulling it up right here. What it is?
Little politics tonight. In honor at the
I'm sitting in his chair. I'll put my flannel on.
You're sitting in the flannel chair tonight. Okay. What's the outcome if the Bears win?
Where? I'll look for it once I'm done talking. But I am going to take the Bears because obviously DeForest Buckner being out is huge. And the Colts defense is so. Yeah. You don't know what you're going to get with them. And I mean, I really hope that you got some guys, you got the guy out on the line, DeForest Buckner. Maybe gives the Bears O-line a little bit of confidence going into the game, gives them a little bit of boost. Maybe you're going to see running backs actually taking the yards upfield. They're going to ground and pound. And it gives Caleb Williams, I think, it can give him confidence too. So it could be a big booster for everybody. And I think the Bears, they do have a little bit. Obviously, you've seen the frustration on Williams, and I think that might carry over into this game, and they'll get points up on the board with that.
Good. Yeah, I think this is the game that Williams has shown improvement. I think he gets his first 2 touchdown passes this game, and I believe Rome gets one. Rome should have one the other day. Rome should have caught that ball that was thrown to him. He dropped the ball in the end zone. That's nothing we can talk about. Rome has to make that catch in the end zone. It would have solved a lot of ails. I would have ailed a lot of aches, I think, if Rome gets a touchdown and Caleb got his first touchdown, and then we could have said, okay, you know how that changed the ebb and flow of a game sometimes, but it didn't. But I believe that they should have a good game this week. So let's hope for it. If it's not good, we'll talk about it next week. So I think did you find the answer?
I did find the answer.
Okay.
And the last time they played was 2020, and that was the only time it had been false. 2004, Colts win, Republican wins. 2008, Bears win, Barack Obama wins, Democrat. 2012, Bears win, Democrat, Barack Obama wins. 2016, Colts win, Donald Trump was elected. And then 2020, the Colts won, but Biden was elected. So we'll see if how that works this week. Not saying
so. Colts is Republican.
Bears are Democrat.
Okay, let's. Well, it makes sense. Chicago, Indiana. Indiana would be
sense.
the conservative state. So
yeah,
okay. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
A lot of storylines going into the game.
Yeah. So let's hope the Bears can pull one out this week. Anything you want to closing thought?
Well, I thought we should talk. I think we should talk about it. Packers center puking twice on the football at the line.
Yeah, he did puke on the ball.
Best part about it, the first time he throws up once, throws up another time. That's a run-up play. Next time, throws up. Malik Willis drops back. What the hell's on the ball? Wipes his hand on his towel, and then takes off running because he was not throwing that slick football. Best part of Sunday right there, seeing the Packers center throw up on red zone. I will say he threw up and he looked better than the Bears center.
Yeah.
Well sick.
Yeah.
So
good point. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. We NFC North. We got a couple two. We got what do we got? A 2-0 team and 3-1-1 teams now. So.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So we'll see how it goes the rest of the year. The Benchwarmer podcast off this week. A lot going on. The actual few Benchwarmers taking a trip to Indy to see the Bears play down there. So that should be interesting this week. A couple of us, myself, Ed, Tim, and Rick are heading down. And then next week I'll hopefully get a show in. We'll try our best on Tuesday. The Benchwarmers, but we'll be back in the 46 Zone podcast next week sometime. Check us out. Usually release us on Thursdays, so get us on Thursdays. But that's all. Let's hope for the Bears to change their efforts on offense. Hopefully special teams and defense keep their ways and get the arrow pointing upward for A+ next week. And let's just hope for a win. And, hey, go Bears.